Wherever you are in this world and whatever time it is, welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe. And tonight, because it is our worldwide story round, I will not run proceedings. I will hand the proceedings over to Mike Russ from Get a Word in Edgeways. Mike, have you got your hands ready? Can you catch this?
Yes.
Yeah. The program is yours.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the worldwide storytelling round from people come to this from all over the world. We've got people from as far away as Lichfield. I was going to say Lichfield, Kath. Is that fair enough? Or
Walsall, live in Walsall.
Walsall, which is less than sort of 20 miles from where I live. People from America, from Canada, from all over the world. And that's what we do. We sit down there and everybody thinks different. So I was going to show you tonight. Everybody's wondering, can you see this? Right, that's my cake. Okay, this is my cup of tea. That's my cup of tea. Right, and all we do, and my job is to sit here and make sure everybody gets to tell a story if they want to, and drink tea and eat cake. It is the easiest job in the whole of the world. It is wonderful. And if you're younger than a teenager, now you don't have 11 teen and 12 teen, you have 13. Right, so if you're 12 or 11 and you come and tell stories, John and I and a fellow called Mike Wood have decided on a new policy because we're going to send you chocolate. Right, so Jazz Name, I asked you for your postal address, and you have to, if you've got to get your mum and dad to put it up for you, you put it up for you, and if you tell a story tonight, I will send you some chocolate.
Okay, for sure.
Right, okay, this is English chocolate, and it comes from Bourneville. It's Cadbury's, and that factory is Kath and I. We can walk there if we want to. It's that close, and it's the best chocolate factory anywhere in the world.
It's obviously best because it's near Mike. Now,
absolutely.
Yes, no, mate. If you get your mum to put it or send it to me. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm sitting there. Very
fine. Your address message me with your address. I'll send it to Mike.
Right.
100%.
Mike keep his promise.
I'll keep my promise. Don't you worry. We're good at keeping promises because we live next to the chocolate factory. Okay.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
The youngin doesn't look like Willy Wonka.
No, Baba, you're not getting no chocolate, mate. You're not I know you're not.
That's all right. I'm not far from Hershey's. So
right, that's something to do with the fact that you've got a beard. Okay.
Well, you know what? I love chocolate. The chocolates I love are so expensive. It's either pay the mortgage or buy the chocolate. So I don't buy much chocolate. But as long as you're not sending me nylons, we're okay.
No, I'm not sending you nylons.
That was a World War I and World War II reference.
Right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start off with Baba. We're going to Jasna May, and then we're going to Kath Edwards. That's the first three in the batting order. Okay, so if you're not telling stories, you have to mute yourself. Okay, so we're going to go to Baba, Jasna May, and then Kath, and then I'll sort out a batting order while this is happening, and we'll take it from there. I know, John, you're up for some poems. If you know any poets that want to come along, and we'll take it from there. So, okay, so without any further ado, somewhere across the pond, somewhere in the middle of the United States of America, somewhere over there that Donald Trump didn't find, is Baba Baba, and he's going to tell us a story. And you're muted, my friend.
Okay. So I was enthralled by the telling of a story about cat and dog, I think last week. And I had boiled my stories down to about 10. But I said that if Princess J was on today, I would do a type of premiere of a story I'm considering for children's night for when I tell stories. So Princess J and the other youngins, this story is for you. And I'm gonna do an abbreviated version of how I start my story by saying, when this story was first told, it was told a long time ago. That was the abbreviated version. You know, at one time, cat and dog were bestest of friends. Oh yes, they were BFFs, best friends forever. And they did everything together. They went to the movies together, which is rather strange because movies hadn't been invented yet, but they did everything together. But the one thing they loved most of all, the bestest of best, was they loved to eat meals together. Now, cat and dog didn't have too much money. And cat and dog would do all kinds of things legal to raise money so they could have their suppers together. But one day, brother dog said, bro cat. Bro cat said, yes. What you want to eat today? I don't know what you want to eat. I was thinking that maybe we could buy ourselves a ham. A ham, yes, we could buy ourselves a whole ham. Well, that sounds like a good idea. I just lost my earpiece. That sounds like a good idea. But how are we going to get ourselves a ham? Well, you got some money? Do I got some money? Do you got some money? Well, no, but I'm going to go make some. Well, if you make some money, I'll have some money. So bruh dog, he started doing all kinds of odd jobs. He was loading things on trucks and off of trucks, which is strange because they had wagons back then. But he was going and he went out in the fields and he started doing all kinds of work. And brother dog, he was working hard. He worked as hard as a dog. What? But brother dog was working. He was working day and night. Woo! And brother dog, he worked hard. And at the end of the day, they paid him, but it wasn't enough for a ham. Well, not a whole ham. But brother dog took his money and he went on up and he found bro cat. He said, bro cat, I just got paid. You got some money? Do I got some money? Do you got some money? Well, yeah, I got some money. Well, then don't worry about what I got. Well, come on, let's go get ourselves that ham. Let's go get ourselves that whole ham. Okay, bro dog, let's go get ourselves a ham. And so they started walking to the village. And bro dog was so happy, he started singing, we gonna get us all ham, we gonna get us all ham, we gonna get us all ham, a ham. And they got all the way to the village and they went to the shop where Sis Chicken was selling hams. And bro dog said, he said, Sis Chicken, yeah, yes. We wants to get a ham. Okay, what kind of ham? And brother cat said, what you mean what kind of ham? We want the biggest, juiciest ham you got. So Sis Chicken said, hold on. So she had some little chiclets, not to be confused with the gum. She had some little chiclets, bring out a ham, and brother cat said, no, that's not big enough. She had him bring out another ham. No, that's not big enough. We want the biggest, juiciest ham you got. And so Sis Chicken had all the chiclets and some roosters and some other birds bring out this great, big, ginormous ham, and they sat it down. And brother cat said, that more like it. She said, well, you got to pay me for the ham. Well, can't we taste the ham first? Yeah, you can taste the ham after you pay for it. But what if we don't like it? Pay for the ham, brother cat. I'm not in the mood for your foolishness today. Pay for the ham, brother dog. Me? We supposed to pay for the ham. Pay for the ham, pay for the ham, brother dog. So brother dog, thinking his friend was going to reimburse him, pay for the ham. And brother cat said, he said, you know what, brother dog, I'm going to make some poke salad. I'm going to make some potato salad. I'm going to make some hot cornbread with the butter running down the middle. And bro dog got real happy. Oh yeah. That sounds good. Yeah. Oh, but bro cat, where are we gonna cook this ham? We're gonna cook it at my house. but your house is furthest away. Yeah, but I got the bigger kitchen. Okay, well, how are we gonna get this ham home? Well, I tell you what, brother Burkett, you carry the ham half the way, and I'll carry the ham half the way. No, brother, okay, brother, I tell you what, you carry it the first half the way, and I'll carry it the rest of the way. Oh, okay. Help put this ham on my back. Put the ham on. Oh, this thing is heavy, it's heavy. Come on, bro, dog. That poke salad, that potato salad, and the cornbread with the butter running down the middle. Oh yeah. We gonna eat us all ham. 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 We gonna eat us ham. Brother Dog had gone up the hill, through the valley, crossed the river, and was on the way up the next hill, and he was exhausted. He said, Brother Cat, it's time for you to carry the ham. Oh, come on, Brother Dog. We only got to go up that hill and across the way and through the dale. We'll be there. Brother Cat, I done carried this ham most of the way. It's your turn to carry the ham. Oh, Brother Dog, if you're going to be that way, come on, Brother Dog. And Brother Dog put the ham on Brother Cat's back. Oh, it's too heavy. Take it off. No, it's your turn to carry the ham. Okay, I'll carry the ham because I'm going to eat my ham. I'm going to eat my ham. I'm going to eat my ham. Bruh, Cat, that's not the way the song goes. It's our ham, we gonna eat us our ham. But dog, did I tell you what to sing when you were carrying the ham? Well, no. Well, you don't tell me what to sing while I'm carrying my ham. It's not your ham, it's our ham. But dog, I ain't got time for this. I'm gonna eat my ham. I'm gonna eat my ham. Brother Dog started getting angry. He said, Brother Cat, that's not your ham. That's our ham. Just about then, Brother Cat saw this real tall tree, and all of a sudden, that ham wasn't so heavy. Brother Cat grabbed that ham and ran up in the tree. Now, dogs can't climb trees, most of them. And Brother Cat sat up in the tree on a big fat limb going, my ham, I'm going to eat my ham, I'm going to eat my ham. Better come down out that tree, Brother Cat. Oh, what? You going to come up and get me? And so Brother Dog started climbing the tree. Choom, choom, choom. Dogs can't climb trees. And he fell. I'm going to get you, Brother Cat. My ham. Started climbing again. Got almost to Brother Cat. Brother Cat was getting nervous. Brother Dog swiped at the ham, missed, and he fell and hit him back. You okay, Brother Dog? No. Can you move, Brother Dog? No. You sure you can't move, Brother Dog? I can't move. It hurts. Brother Cat ran down the tree, grabbed the ham, put it on him back, and ran all the way home. Brother Dog was laying there in pain, but after a while, he smelled potato salad. He smelled poke salad. He smelled ham. And he smelled hot cornbread with the butter running down the middle. So Brother Dog started crawling, painfully making his way to Brother Cat's house. When he got there, he knocked on the door. Who there? You know who there? No, who there? It's me, Brother Dog. You don't sound like Brother Dog, because I'm in pain. I want some of that ham. So Brother Cat had one of them Dutch doors, you know, the ones that can open at the top. And he opened these and he took off big slice. He said, you want some of this here ham? Yeah. And I suppose you want some poke salad and some potato salad. And I guess you want a piece of this hot cornbread with the butter running down the middle. Yes, because it's our home. And Brother Cat sat there and ate all that food and nibbled the last piece of meat off of that there bone and threw the bone to Brother Dog. Brother Dog caught it thinking he was gonna get some ham, and all there was a bone. Brother Dog looked at that bone, he looked at that cat, and he said, sooner or later, you're gonna have to come out your house. And when you do, you're mine. And Brother Dog crawled all the way home with that bone and made himself some bone soup. Make no bones about it, it wasn't as good as that ham. And he crawled all the way home. And to this day, that dog, whenever he sees that cat, chases him, because when he gets hold of him, well, I'll leave that to your imagination. And so Brother Dog and Brother Cat are no longer BFFs. They're no longer bestest of friends, because that cat wasn't right. And Brother Dog hasn't forgotten to this day. There's a lesson to this story. And the lesson is best friends look out for each other. Best friends don't take advantage of each other's. And if you don't keep your word, you might have to be looking over your shoulder, especially if you're a cat and your best friend was a dog. Asante.
Right. Thank you very much, Bubba. That's a lovely story.
So Princess J, that was for you. And I will mute because I have to find another earpiece because my earpiece fell out. I have no idea where it went.
Okay, well, if you mute yourself up, now we're going from all the way from the United States, all the way to the Punjab in India, where we have Jasname.
Yes.
Yes. Who is going to earn a whole load of chocolate? Right, Jasname, over to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jasnami and I'm from India, Punjab. And today I'm going to narrate a story named The Professor and the Wise Fairy Man. Once upon a time, there lived an old man from the village. He was very wise and he was very old and poor as he lived in these small houses. But his work was to make people go to the other side of the river, from this side to that. He met many city peoples. As city people came to his boat and they went to the other side. And but the poor old man was wise. He learned many things from the people that used to travel from the boat. But one thing of city people he did not like was that they were too busy. They had so many files, papers, and loads of work, and they were on phone every time. So he said, I'm very lucky. I live in my village and have fun. Now once, a smart professor with nice clothes came to his boat. He asked the old fairy man, will you take me to the other side of the river? And the ferryman said, why not? Yes, for sure. And the professor was sitting in the boat. Now, while sitting in the boat, the professor asked the ferryman, have you ever studied history, my man? And the professor said, no, I have never studied history, as in village there were no school and I did not go to school. And the professor said, what? Have you never gone to school? Then you don't know about us, about our country, about our state. And the ferryman felt a little bad. And he said, no, I have never gone to school, so I don't know. Then the professor asked the ferryman, have you ever studied geography? And the ferryman said, no, No, I have never studied geography, as in my village there were no schools. And the professor said, What? Have you never studied geography? You don't know that geography teaches us about the climates and many more things in the whole planet. And he said, What can I do? I didn't have any schools. And the professor finally said, Oh, have you ever studied science? And poor little ferryman said, No, I have never studied science also. I did not go to school in my childhood. And the professor thought, What kind of a man is he? And he said, You don't know that scientists play such a big role in our earth, in our whole world. You don't know about them? I am also a scientist. And the poor ferryman looked at his clothes and the bundle of files he was carrying. He felt a little bad because he was not educated. Now, suddenly, something strange happened. Can you guess what happened? A loud storm started. It started raining heavily. And the professor got scared. Oh, look at the boat. Look at the wave. Look at the river. I'll just drown down. The boat is going up, down due to the big waves in the river. And the ferryman said, Do not worry, my man. You will not drown down as I am with you. Do you know how to swim? Asked this ferryman, wise old ferryman. And the professor said, No, I don't know how to swim. I was educated in school where I read subjects, not swimming. But please save my life. I'm a scientist. I have to work. And he said, Don't worry. I take many people in this weather and much more weather. And now, he said, Come, just hold my hand and I'll take you to the other side. And they swam to the other side of the river and they finally reached. And now you can understand that the professor learned a lesson that knowledge is not a thing that is to be needed in whole life. We should know, we should have experience and also many more things. Thank you.
Great. Absolutely. And the professor needs to know that when you tell stories, you get paid in chocolate.
Definitely worth chocolate.
Right. Absolutely. So we're going to go to Kath next, and then John, then Maria, then Keith. That's going to be the order that we come through. Jasna May, absolutely, you send the address over to John. He'll send it to us. We'll send you the chocolate. We promise.
Thank you.
Okay, we promise. Okay. Right. Kath, now, are you in your cupboard?
They've let me out of my cupboard just for this evening, Mike.
Yeah,
I've been released from my cupboard.
And have you got cake and tea?
I've just got tea. I've got no cake. Just got me tea.
Okay. Well, I did have cake, but it's all gone. So one of these days we're going to meet somewhere, and we're all going to be in the same place, and we're going to all drink tea and cake together.
Excellent.
Okay. And if you're under 13, you can eat chocolate. Okay. So Kath from Warsaw.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you. Jasna May, that was fabulous. Thank you so much for that lovely story. I really enjoyed that. How long have you been telling stories?
I just started 1 month ago and months ago in this World Storytelling Cafe, and I started from Young Storytelling Cafe, and
from last past 6 to 7 months.
Yes.
Wow, that you're brilliant, Justin May. You must keep going. You must keep telling more stories. That was just so enjoyable to listen to you. I can't believe you've only been telling stories 1 month. It's fabulous.
Thank you.
Well, follow that, folks. So I'm going to follow it with a Nasruddin story. Nasruddin was preparing for a party, and he wanted to cook a large dish for his guests, and he found that his cooking pot just wasn't big enough. Even his biggest cooking pot was not big enough. He went to his neighbour and he knocked on his neighbour's door. When the neighbour opened the door, Nasruddin said, "I've got a lot of cooking to do. I think you've got a cooking pot that's bigger than my biggest pot. Could I borrow it?" And the neighbour said, "Well, all right, but I'll need it back tomorrow." Nasruddin promised faithfully that he would bring it back. Well, Nasruddin took the pot away, and he did indeed cook the large quantity of food that he had planned. And the next day, the pot, beautifully cleaned and scoured and polished, he walked to his neighbour's house and he knocked on the door. The neighbour opened the door. Nasruddin said, "Thank you so much. It was exactly what I needed." He handed it to the neighbour. The neighbour was about to close the door when he glanced inside the pot. He said, "What's this? This isn't mine." And Nasruddin said, "Oh, that little pot inside your pot, it is yours. Because it's really sweet, actually. Your pot has had a baby. Lovely." And the neighbour looked into the pot and he looked at Nasruddin. Well, an extra pot. He wasn't going to argue. So he said, "Thank you very much." And he closed the door. A couple of weeks went by. Nasruddin knocked on his neighbour's door, and the neighbour opened the door. Nasruddin said, "I'm doing a lot of cooking again. Could I borrow that very big pot of yours?" And the neighbour said, "Yes, of course, that's fine. Of course. Just bring it back to me when you can. Maybe a couple of days, perhaps. No rush." And he handed Nasruddin his largest cooking pot again. Nasruddin took it away. The neighbour waited, and a day went past. Well, he had said, you can keep it a couple of days if you want, so he wasn't worried. And then the second day came, and the second day went, and the third day, and by the time the fourth day had arrived, the neighbour was getting quite annoyed. Thought, this really is taking the mickey. So he went round to Nasruddin's house and he hammered on the door. Nasruddin opened the door, and when he saw his neighbour, his face fell. The neighbour said, "I know I said a couple of days, but it's been 4 days now. Can I have my pot back?" And Nasruddin said, "Oh." The neighbour said, "What?" Nasruddin said, "Is your pot? Your pot's gone." "What do you mean my pot's gone? Where's it gone?" "Well, go and get it back then." "No, it's not what I mean. I mean, your pot's died. I'm so sorry." "You're telling me my pot's died? Pots don't die. Now give me my pot back." And Nasruddin said, "You'll believe a pot can have a baby, but you don't believe it'll die." And he shut the door. Thank you.
Ooh. Thank you very
The
much.
pot's
Kat.
name wasn't Harry, was it?
It probably was Baba, actually.
Right. So we're going to go to John next, who's going to do some poems. Now then, after that, I went Maria Keith. Maria, you're doing something? Maria?
Me,
Yeah,
Maria. Yeah.
Maria, sorry, yeah. Maria.
Yeah, sorry. That sounded like a very posh version of me. The posh version of me is not here, mate. But yeah, I'm here. I'm happy to tell.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right, so we'll go to John's is going to be the poems, then we'll go to you, then we're going to go to Keith. Okay, Keith? Okay, after that it'll be Mike, and then Emma. Emma, are you doing something? Emma?
Yeah, she said yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
right,
I couldn't unmute
Okay.
quick enough.
right. So you're going after Mike, okay?
Fabulous. Thank
Right,
you.
so we're going over to you. If we all mute ourselves again, Mike. Okay, we're going over to John. Okay, John, we've persuaded him to do some poems. Now you're doing some of your own poetry, mate.
I'll do one of my poems, and then I'll just do, if I might, a really, really short story. Does that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
Or am I being
yeah.
greedy?
No, that's depends on your definition of short.
Well, I promise to let you all out before midnight.
Yeah, that'll do.
Okay. Well, there's I wrote this poem ages ago, but it's come to mind this week. Suddenly he gets a coughing fit. There is a time. There is a time for anger, a time for despair, a time for love. Some emotions are easier to reach than others. There is nothing more dignified than a people at prayer, the act of kneeling and bowing, a recognition we are not the be-all and end-all of existence, the act of burning candles with eyes lifted skyward, a recognition of hope. There is nothing more obscene than the avoidable death of children. There is a time for death, and childhood is not it. But in the here and now, the figures contradict us, and all we feel is a deep-rooted anger. Can somebody tell me how many truckloads of grain are moved by anger? Can somebody tell me where it is written, a child needs anger? There is a place for anger, and a world where children are the forgotten victims is not it. But in the here and now, with our knowledge and our facts, we despair of the hopelessness and do nothing. Can somebody tell me if it is despair that drives mothers with their babies across deserts in search of food? Can somebody tell me if it is despair that fills half the cities of the world with gangs of infants scavenging and kicking and begging their way to adulthood? Can somebody tell me where it is written, a child needs despair? There is a place for despair, and a world where so much as one child breathes is not it. And in the here and now, we can hold out our arms and pick up the fallen children of the globe, for this is love. And the people with the candles tell me love is a great fertilizer. And the gardeners tending their plots tells me love puts food in the mouths of many. And my Muslim friends tell me love of Allah, and their duty to those unable to feed themselves are indivisible. And my Quaker friends tell me it is impossible to love and pull the trigger. And everywhere it is told, a child needs love.
Yeah, well,
So,
lovely, John. That's just lovely, mate.
so I thought I'd people like that. I've only told this story once before, and Mike's always telling me, "Bring your strongest stuff," and I will one day, Mike. But this is I'm breaking this one in, and it's a little simple story from Idris Shah, great Sufi philosopher Idris Shah. And there was an old woman, and she didn't have much experience of life. And the only birds she knew were pigeons. The only birds she'd ever seen were pigeons. And one day, on the branch outside her cottage, came an eagle. And she looked at the eagle and she thought, "You're a funny looking pigeon. You've got a bent beak for a start. You've got long claws. And you've got all this feathers sticking up on top of your head. And you should have a smooth head." So she grabbed the chicken, grabbed the eagle, and And she took it in and she took her clippers and cut off all its claws. Little short, stubby claws. She said, that's what pigeons' claws should be like. And she got hold of its bent beak and she pulled and she pulled and she pulled and she pulled till it was straight. And then she got a brush. She brushed down that hair till it lay flat. Now you've got pigeon's beak. Now you've got pigeon's hair. And she put the eagle, now disguised as a pigeon, back on the branch. Well, a second eagle came on and sat on the branch next to the first eagle and looked at it and said, you're a funny looking eagle. He said, well, at least you know I'm an eagle. And the first eagle told the second one what had happened. How the old woman had clipped its claws, straightened its beak and flattened its hair. And the second eagle said, don't worry. And fluffed up its hair again, grabbed its beak and bent it down so it was an eagle's beak. He said, don't worry about your claws, they'll grow back. Come with me. And they flew off to their eagle's nest. And they decided together they would never more go and visit silly people who wouldn't let other people be themselves.
Thank you, John. That's lovely.
Animated story.
Right, so we're going to
that's-
Marie. Maria, maybe? I'm always getting the names wrong. I thought Maria looked good because you look posh from here.
Do you know, my nana used to call me Mary as well. And that was my nana. So you're in good company.
Right. So where are you geographically?
Was that to me?
Yeah.
Where am I? I'm in Lichfield. I'm the Lichfield one. I'm one of
Oh, you're
Kath's
Lichfield.
storytellers. Yeah.
Right, I thought so. Yes, I thought so. Absolutely. They're all posh in Lichfield.
Yeah, we are dead posh down here.
Yeah, it's the only place I know where the buskers, and they're the ones in the UK who sing on the streets, sing opera.
They do actually. Yeah.
They
and
do, yeah,
classical
they do.
guitar.
Outside
Yeah,
the
they do.
cathedral. They do, yes, I know. Yeah, okay, so we're going to Keith next, and then Mike after that, then Emma. I saw Rashida. Right, are you going to tell a story tonight?
Yeah, that's time.
Absolutely great. You'll go after Emma, okay? Great.
Could I squeeze one in as well, Mike?
Sorry?
Could I squeeze one in as well?
David? Yes, oh no, I've only just got you there. Yeah, I've got you, Mike. Yeah. David, you're very welcome to tell one. Absolutely, we can sit here all night, mate. Don't worry. Okay.
I had to come in after hearing John on Facebook doing that poem. Thank you, John.
All right, cool. Okay. Anyway, over to Lichfield. Here we go.
There were two friends, two old ladies, and they lived in a little village called Leek, not too far away from here, actually. A few hundred years ago, in two little cottages, terraced cottages next door to each other on a cobbled street. One of the ladies was a baker, and she would get up first thing in the morning every day and she would bake cakes and biscuits and breads, and people would queue outside her little house down the street for their baked goods because she was very good at her job. And because she was very good at her job, she always had a few pennies to spare. Unlike her neighbour, the lady that lived next door, who happened to be her best friend, was a fortune teller. She'd been a traveller, but she'd got too old to travel any longer, and she'd settled in this little street next to the baker, and the two became really firm friends. They'd get together every afternoon, and they would sit and have a cup of tea and a good natter, and the baker would provide the biscuits or maybe a cake, and they'd put the world to rights between them. And the old lady would, like as not, have her black cat sat on her knee, and she would stroke it while they chatted. But the baker was looking at her friend one afternoon, and she noticed, well, she was looking a bit threadbare. Her dress, she always wore this black dress, and the collar on it was beginning to fray a little bit, and the hem was looking as if it was unravelling, and her boots looked as if they probably had holes in the bottom. It was a shame, the baker thought. Her friend, the fortune teller, she didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. And there and then the baker decided to do something to help. The next day, as the baker was serving her row of customers, in walked Mrs. Smith. Now, Mrs. Smith was one of those ladies who is a font of all knowledge. She knows everything that goes on in every house, and she makes sure the information is liberally spread around the village. And the baker looked at her, and she served Mrs. Smith her goods. And then she paused. Mrs. Smith, have you got a minute? Mrs. Smith leaned in, very interested. What do you think of this? I need to tell someone. Is it all right if I unburden myself to you? Well, Mrs. Smith was made up with this. Oh, yes, go ahead. And the baker began her story. Well, when I was in the kitchen earlier on this morning, I walked down into the kitchen and I was just starting to get on with my morning jobs, and I saw that cat from the fortune teller next door. You know what it's like? It was up on my work surface, and it was just about to scoop its paw into my sugar jar. Well, I picked it up, Mrs. Smith, I picked it up. We can't have cats in my bakery, and I threw it out the back gate. Anyway, by the time I'd got back in the house, that cat was back there, and this time it was on my table, and it was about to put its other paw into the cream pot. So what do you think I did, Mrs. Smith? I picked it up and I threw it back out again. Anyway, within 5 minutes, that cat, well, it was underneath my table, heading towards my stores. Well, I'd lost my rag. I have to admit it to you, Mrs. Smith. I'd lost patience. I'd just finished a batch of Staffordshire oatcakes, and I picked one up and I flung it at the cat. Mrs. Smith, that Staffordshire oatcake, it landed on the fortune teller's cat, on its shoulder. And the cat yowled and screamed, and round the room it ran in the way that only a scalded cat can. Oh, and then I felt really bad. It's starving, that cat, ain't it? She's not got much. And I felt so sorry. Anyway, it shot out the door. And I thought I'd better go round to see if it was okay and apologise to my friend. So I went in without knocking. We never do. We're very good friends, you know, Mrs. Smith. But when I went into the front room, now what I'm about to tell you, Mrs. Smith, you won't pass on to anyone else, will you? Because, well, she was sat on the floor, and you know that black dress she always wears? She had it off one shoulder, and on her shoulder was a big red scald mark, exactly where the Staffordshire oatcake had landed on that cat. What do you think about that, Mrs. Smith? Between you and I think she might be a witch. Anyway, Mrs. Smith, you must promise me that that you won't tell a soul about this, will you? Thank you, Mrs. Smith. I am very perplexed by it. Well, Mrs. Smith, this was meat and drink to her, and off she shot. And the baker went back to her jobs. But the next morning, when she woke up, she opened the curtains and looked down into the street to see who was queuing up outside her door. They weren't queuing outside the baking shop. They were queuing outside the fortune tellers, every one of them waiting to have the fortune told.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
How
So we're going to
fortunate.
Keith. We're going to go to Keith next. Okay. And after Keith, we're going to Mike. And then it's going to be Emma, David Heath, Emma, Rashida, David Heathfield. Rachel, Elizabeth. Are you going to do one today? And Susan, you've just turned up on my screen. Are you going to do one?
I could do a poem.
That's
Yeah.
fine. We love poems.
Okay.
But it says Susan Mac. What is what it says on my screen? Can you hear me, Susan? Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, right. So we're going to Keith, then Mike, then Emma, then David, Rashid, Dad, and then David Heathfield. Right, here we go. So, Keith
Sorry,
is it.
Mike. Sorry, Mike. Sue here. I'm just listening. Just listening. Thanks, Say.
No,
Okay.
that's not a problem at all. You're very welcome to come and listen. That's great. So
Thank
we're going
you,
to,
Mike.
Yeah, we're going to Keith.
Well, hello everyone. After all this time, I'm finally doing a face-to-face on Thursday at a school. And so who would be prepared to be part of this story by giving some response by unmuting yourselves? And because it's an animal story and it involves various oh right, Maria's going to do that. So so it's a children's story if everyone's happy with that, and so you could be part of it. And after all this time, it's great to be able to have an opportunity to, and I've got year 2 in a school with their teachers all to myself on Thursday. So here goes. So right. So what is the first sound that you hear in a farmyard years ago? What's the first sound? Just shout it out.
Quack, quack.
Right. Okay, right. Cock-a-doodle-doo! The king of the sky is giving a party. But the pigs in the field, sorry, the pigs in the sty said, oink, oink, oink. Come on, oink, 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 oink. We don't want to go to the party. But the little
I
frog,
don't want to go to the party.
little frog said, I want to go. But the cockle ignored him.
Ribbit.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. Come on, everybody. Cock-a-doodle-doo. The king of the sky is giving a party. But the sheep in the field, they didn't want to go to the party. So they said, yeah.
No.
But the frog said, I want to go to the party. I want to go to the party. But
Ribbit.
it was ignored. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Come on. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Are you there? Cock-a-doodle-doo. King of the sky's giving a party. But the cows in the field, they said moo. Come on. Moo. You don't want to go to the party. But the little frog said, I want to go to the party. I want to go to the party. But it was ignored. And so the frog was so sad. And so he wandered off and he found his friend, the magpie. He knocked on the magpie's door. And the magpie opened the door and said, magpie said, are you all right, my friend? No, I want to go to the party in the sky, but I'm not been invited.
Oh.
But, well, I'm going to the party in the sky. I've got all my best dress on, and I've got my guitar, and I'll be playing for the party in the sky. And the frog was so sad, and he wandered over to the door, and on the side of the door, he saw the magpie's guitar, an acoustic guitar, and he crept into the guitar. The magpie finished off what he was doing, and he strapped the guitar on his back, and he flew off into the sky. But before he started playing, the little frog, he crept out of the guitar and sat on a cloud. And the magpie, he played his guitar, and there was lots of dancing, and there was lots of drinking, there was lots of singing, lots of great party, and the frog really enjoyed himself, sitting on the cloud, watching everybody enjoying themselves. And it came to the end of the party. And the magpie had been just over at the bar, just having a drink, and the frog, he hopped over and he crept into the guitar, the acoustic guitar of the magpie. The magpie came over and he strapped this guitar on his back and he flew over, ready to go home. But he was just, he had quite a lot to drink. So he flew around and he did the loop-to-loop, and the frog fell out of the guitar and fell down onto the ground with a great crash. And the frog was just absolutely splattered all over the place. There was bits of frog here, there was a bit of leg here, and an eye here, and a head here, and a body here, and a leg. It's a complete mess. The frog, come on. You're going to be part of this. But the king of the sky saw what happened, and he came down and he picked up all the bits of frog, the leg and the arms and the body, the head and the eyes, and out of his pouch he took a needle and some cotton, and he threaded it, and he took all the bits of frog and he stitched them all together, so that all the frog was all together, with all his body and his arms and his legs and his eyes and his head. But the frog was just dead, really. But the king of the sky took a deep breath and he gave the frog artificial resuscitation, or whatever it is. And the frog came alive. Wow. And the king of the sky said, "You come here with me." And the frog hopped over after the king of the sky, and the king of the sky took him to a pond.
Oh no, can't hear you.
Oh dear.
Is he gone?
Can you hear me? Yep. You got me back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yep.
Mm.
And the king of the sky said, "Try that." And the frog, he hopped over to the edge of the pond and said, "Oh, this is so muddy. Oh, it's so muddy." But it's not so bad, is it? All right. And then the frog started to swim around in the pond. I thought, "Oh, this is great." And the frog then was
You're muted again, Keith.
Oh, I don't know if he's gone.
You're muted.
You're still muted.
back
There you
again.
are.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I don't know what's happening.
Not so bad.
Okay. When we got to the frog was on the edge of the pond and he was swimming around the pond. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was very happy. Now, a few weeks later, the cockerel gave another announcement. "Cock-a-doodle-doo! The king of the sky is giving a party." But Where's everybody? Everybody there? Cock-a-doodle-doo!
Oh, cock-a-doodle-doo!
King of the sky is giving a party.
Having a party.
Having a party.
But the pigs in the field said, no, the pigs in the sty said, nah,
No.
Oink, 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 oink. Cock-a-doodle-doo! The king of the sky
The king of the sky is giving a party.
But the sheep in the field said, meow, meow,
No.
meow. Cock-a-doodle-doo! The king of the sky is giving a party. But the cows in the field said, moo, 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 moo. The cockerel looked down and said to the little frog, do you want to come to the party? But the frog said, nah.
Ribbit.
I'm happy in my little pond in the mud in the pond. Ribbit. No, I'm very happy where I am. And so, this is what you'll find if you're very careful and look in the ponds around. You'll find the frogs swimming around in the pond, very happy, and don't want to go to the party in the sky.
All right. The reason why we weren't making the animal noises, we're so enthralled with your telling of the story.
Yeah.
And
yeah, okay.
now that
we
you've done a frog story, I'm going to have to toad it to somebody else.
No.
Well, that was told by Michael Harvey at the Edge a couple of times. So, and it's one of those stories that just sort of clicks with you, and you keep it, and you don't even write it down because it just clicks with you. I'm sorry about the last lock of sound. I don't know quite what happened, but anyway.
Right, we're obviously having a few internet problems. Here in the UK, we've got storms coming in, and there's thunderstorms and all sorts of things in the ether. So the way that they do it from Marrakesh and Morocco is if you just don't do anything, and they will bring you back on as soon as you can. So if you go, just sit and wait, and Ali and his team will bring you back in as soon as you can. So don't worry about it. And it's nothing to do with your devices. It's something that's happening in the UK at the moment.
Okay. Thank you.
We're going to go to Mike. Thank you very much, Keith. Well done, mate.
Okay,
we're going to go to Mike. There he is. I can see him. There he is. Okay. And the same holds for him. Okay, mate. Away you go.
Okay, well, thank you. Before I tell the story, I just wanted to show off to Maria 2 pennies to rub together. We've had a couple of Nasruddin stories already tonight. I thought it put me in the mood to do another one. I hope that's okay with everyone. Now, a long time ago, there was a king. He was a very popular king. And like kings do in stories, he used to disguise himself and go down in the market and listen to what people were saying about him. And he started hearing things he didn't like. People were moaning about him. And he investigated, and he found what had happened was that his grand judges he's appointed had started taking the law into their own hands, and they were imposing big fines on people and claiming it was because they were applying the king's law. And it wasn't the king's law they were applying. They were cheating and they were robbing people. So being a good king, he had them all beheaded and started looking for some new judges. And he said to his vizier and his advisors, I won't have such stuck-up, proud judges. I want humble people, but knowledgeable. And so once again, he disguised himself. He went to the market to look for these new judges, and word had got out that he was looking for new judges. And as he walked through the marketplace, he saw Nasruddin, and Nasruddin was walking along in the market with a fishing net over his shoulder. And the disguised king said, oh, my man, why have you got a fishing net over your shoulder? And Nasruddin said, this is to remind me that I'm a knowledgeable man now, but I'm a humble man, and the fishing net reminds me of my humble beginnings as a poor fisherman. And the king said, I'm the king. I want you for my new judge. And he appointed Nasruddin, and he went in to see Nasruddin in his courtroom. And Nasruddin was sitting there in his very fine robes with no net. And the king said, where is your net? And Nasruddin said, when you've landed the fish, you don't need the net. I thank you.
Hey, Mike, is that an upscale story?
I'll let you judge that for yourselves.
Right. That was a lovely story. Yeah, thanks very much. Right, we're going to go to Emma.
Great story.
Okay, Emma.
It took me a minute to get that joke. I was a bit slow. Thanks for having me again. I have a story for you all, or a poem story. I'll just start. There once was an old fella called Chris, whose story you won't want to miss. For he was very well known in Winterton, the small village he called his home. Chris was really hooked on reality TV, and he was always booked on shows like Think You Can Sing and The Blame Game. But in reality, it was a real shame, as he was only ever booked on as a joke, as a weirdo to be laughed at and poked. But Chris didn't give a monkey's arse, because he was rolling in money, even if it was all a farce. Now then, Chris had 3 grown-up sons who had indeed done their sums and knew that when their fathers passed, they'd be left with reality riches at last. Chris was getting older and had had enough, and famously quit TV in a right old huff. That story involves a pig, some treacle, and a bale of hay, but that's a different story for a different day. Chris asked his sons to look after him, and in return he'd share his money with them. Well, of course, his sons agreed to look after Chris and all his needs. They decided to share custody of old Chris, but soon things started to go amiss. You see, Chris really was not that bright and gave his money to his sons outright, which meant, of course, his sons soon got bored and started to resent the upheavals that Chris had caused. For 1 week he would be with one son, the next week another son, and so on. They soon started to forget to feed poor old Chris, and sometimes he'd end up sleeping in some animal's piss, and new shoes or clothes, well, he could forget about those. Poor old Chris felt like such a fool, for he had nothing left. He'd just have to make do. One rainy day, Chris saw his mate from Yarmouth, told him his sorrows, and his mate cried, "Chris, that's enough. Your sons may take you for a silly old fool, but here, I'll tell you what you should do. I'll pop some money into your account. Don't worry, it'll be a significant amount. And you let your sons know that it is there, and whoever gives you the bestest care will inherit those riches when you die. But of course, it will all be a lie." When Chris got to his oldest son's home, he made a show of leaving his mobile phone open on his mobile banking app. And when his son saw it, Chris heard, "Holy crap, Dad, where have you been hiding all this cash?" "Well, son," Chris replied, "I was holding it back to give to the son who truly loves me. Although looking at the state of me, I am not sure who that could be, son number 1, 2, or 3. His son, at least, had the decency to flush red and quickly gave Chris a brand new bed and brand new clothes and brand new shoes, and anything he wanted, Chris could choose. His other sons were quick to follow their brother's lead, led not by love, but of course, greed. Chris soon paid his friend his money back, and he thanked him profusely for his clever hack. Chris lived out his last few years, full of food and family and plenty of beer. And when it came to the time when he knew he would die, he called his sons to be by his side. "Sons, you have been so good to me, but it is now time for me to leave." "But Dad, who's going to get all the money?" They all sat forward eagerly. Chris smiled a little and whispered clearly, "It is for the son who truly loved me." "But Dad," his sons cried, "who will it be?" But before Chris could answer, he took his last breath. With his face frozen in a smug smile, he went to meet death. His sons, what happened to those 3? Well, it was true that they were led by greed, but they did give their dad all that he'd needed in his final few years. So in a way, Chris had succeeded in bringing them all together, even if it was money led. At least he hadn't had to sleep on that pissy old bed. Thank you.
Oh, don't go upsetting them from East Anglia. And those farmers, they know a bit. And those old wives, there's some old wives there, because them old wives knew a bit as well. So right, so we're going to Rashida. Now, Rashida, did I see a little Rashida there a moment ago? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes,
She's
there
here.
she is. I thought I saw a little one there. Yes. Hello. My name's
Such a
Mike, and I'm
beautiful
from a
and
long way
talented
away.
family.
Yeah. So how old are you?
I'm 8 years old.
8 years old. That's a good age to be. That's the year you are before you're 9. Right, so we're going to listen to your older sister or your mother?
Her mum.
Right, Rashida, over to you.
All right. All right. So my story is one took place long young got married. And when they got married, the husband was quite loving and had a honeymoon period with his wife. He took care of her and spent a lot of time with her. But after a week, he had to go back to fend for them to earn a living. Now, he was a salesman and he had to spend a lot of time on the road selling his wares, selling his goods. So a lot of time he would come home quite late towards the evening, very tired. She got worried. After a week, you're tired of me already, coming home so late? And she started to nag. Why do you come home so late? You don't love me anymore. You didn't promise this. This wasn't what I hoped to get. And she would nag and nag and nag and nag. And he would explain that it was all about work and he still loved her and all of that. But she would still nag and nag and nag and nag and nag. So after some time, he just grew weary and tired of her nagging. So when he came from work, instead of coming straight home, he would stop by at a friend's place, have some drink, and then come back home. Then she would start to nag and nag and nag again, and nag and offer him dinner. And he would already full of drinks and the snacks, and he would refuse her food. Now that got her really worried. He wasn't eating at home anymore. Oh no, that must mean as a man, else wouldn't home. No, no. She's like, even more. And he kept staying out even later. The woman didn't know what to do, so she had a bright idea. She went to the village herbalist. Those days, the herbalist had a lot of functions. He was the chief advisor, he was the medical practitioner, so woman no longer loved her, that she had tried all she could, but he wasn't changing. He was spending more and more time away from home. So the old I'm called Babao, just I have a solution for you. I'm going to prepare a special potion for you. But for that potion, I need the milk from a lion. If you can get me the milk from a lion, then all your problems are solved. So the woman was really bent on getting the full love and appreciation of her husband back. So she set out to look for a hunter, the greatest hunter in the village. And she told him what her mission was. Oh, hunter, I need to find a lion that is giving milk. So the hunter said, oh, I did see a lion a few days back in the forest that just had some cubs. I will lead you to him. And they both went into the forest, very careful not to alert the lion. And from a far way off, the hunter pointed out the lion to her. So she went back to the village and killed a very big sheep. She slaughtered the sheep and she cooked the sheep. She cooked half of the sheep and she roasted the half. And she put the half that she had cooked in a big basket, put the basket on her head, and went off into the forest. When she got close by, she hid behind a shrub. And she brought out the meat and started to throw it to lions, the dishes, and slowly came out and started eating the meat. She did this every day for 7 days. By the 8th day, she started using the roasted meat. So she brought out the meat. And this time around, when she got to the forest, she didn't bother to hide behind any shrubs. She had gained the trust of the lion. The lion became her friend and started to see her as a source of food. So she took the pieces of meat straight up to the lion, and the lioness started to eat, and even the cubs came to have some. So while the lion was having a lovely meal of meat, she struck the lion and slowly started to milk the lion into a calabash. She was able to get the milk of the lion. She was so excited. Finally, she was going to get her husband back. She took the milk to Baba. Babalawo, here I have the lion milk. The Babalawo was really stunned. Wow, you were able to get the milk from a lion? I've never seen anyone that's been able to do that. How did you do it? So the woman told Baba of her method, how she was able to get the milk. But if you can use half the patience you used to get the milk from the lion on your husband, you'll have him eating out of your hand. Then she realized her folly and she went back home, treated him with kindness and patience. And the man saw that her demeanor had changed. She stopped nagging, she became more understanding, and he also started to reciprocate. He came home earlier and they lived happily ever after. Thank you.
Oh, that was lovely. Absolutely lovely. I loved every moment of that. I can see a couple of people I know repeating that story. So did you get that story from someone in your family, or where did you, from a book or what?
It's actually a traditional story, just about patience.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Great. And say hello to the little one there for me. Right. So we went to David Heathfield, sorry, David, and then to Rachel. Okay, so David, I've seen you, you've been seeing you come in and out. Are you there, mate?
I'm here, Mike. Yeah, I started off listening on Facebook and then I just felt compelled to come in when I heard such wonderful stories being told. Thank you, Rashidat. Hi, Radia.
Always welcome.
So the story I'd like to tell is a story, one of the many stories I've learned from children I meet in Gaza. And I'm
so
relieved that we have some calm at last in Gaza. So every week on a Monday at the Hands Up Project, I learn a story from a child, usually they're in Gaza, and a couple of months ago, I met Malak Abu Gholum, and Malak told this story, and it seems an appropriate story to tell. The Wise Shah. Once there was a wild and powerful, hungry for power warrior, and his name was Alexander. You know Alexander. Alexander rampaged across many lands, seized properties, took hundreds, if not thousands of lives. His greed was great. And Alexander came to a land where the people seemed not to be fearful. The people lived in peace, in harmony. They shared what they had with each other. They were ruled gently by a wise Shah, a wise ruler. And Alexander was intrigued, and he came to that ruler and asked for hospitality, and of course it was given. The wise Shah asked Alexander to sit, and the food was brought. There was fruit and nuts and biscuits and cakes, and Alexander reached, but he found that all of the food was made of solid gold. "What is this?" "Ah," said the Shah, "we heard that your hunger for gold is insatiable." Alexander was intrigued further. "I will remain here and observe." A short time later, 2 petitioners came before the Shah. Each of them said to the Shah, "This box full of precious treasure, this box does not belong to me." "What are you saying?" said the Shah. And the first petitioner said, "This box of treasure belongs to my friend here. My friend here gave me a plot of land that I could work on. And when I dug in the ground, I found this box of treasure. But it was my friend who gave me the land, so the treasure should be his." And the other petitioner said, No, this treasure is not mine. I gave the land to my friend, and so the treasure is his." And each of them argued, he should have the treasure. No, he should have the treasure. And the Shah listened, and Alexander was amazed. Finally, the Shah said, "Alexander, what would you do?" "I would throw these 2 fools into prison and take all of the treasure for myself." "Ah," said the wise Shah, "you would." Does an unjust man deserve such blessings as you have? And he turned to the 2 petitioners and he said, "Tell me, do you have children of marriageable age?" And one petitioner said, "My daughter is a young woman now." And the other said, "I have a fine son. He is a man." "Well then," said the Shah, "perhaps a wedding can be arranged, and the treasure can be given as a gift." And the 2 petitioners went away, happy with this ruling. Again, the wise Shah turned to Alexander. "Where you come from, when the rain falls, does not every drop of rain fall on everyone, the poor and the rich alike? Does the sun warm those who are powerful only, or those who are humble as well? I ask the question again. Do unjust men deserve such blessings?" So this story I learned from Malak Abu Goloun from Gaza.
Brilliant. Lovely, David. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, everybody, for your wonderful stories.
Yeah, now we're going to go to Rachel now. Can I see
Hello.
Rachel? Where are you? There you are. Yes, you've moved on my screen. But we're obviously having that. Well, I don't know about everybody else. I'm having a few problems. So I'll say what I said a few moments ago. If your screen goes off, don't do anything. It will come back on again. Ali and the team will sort it as quick as they can. Okay, Rach?
Yeah, so it's just a short poem that I wrote at the beginning of lockdown. So I work in a health food store, and everybody else, it seemed, was locked away in their houses, or no. So, and the world was really quiet, and I quite liked that. And I was sitting in my garden one day, and I just felt like the earth was rising up. So here was the poem. The earth is rising in this time when we are quiet. The earth is drumming its rhythm louder, now it can be heard. The words of the wind are blown clearly, drops of rain can be seen. The sun can be felt more deeply, as can the stars and even the darkness. The earth is rising, so we can see its beauty and its breath. Bluebells, daisies, dandelions, dress the grass here in my garden. Just a minute. Dress the grass here in my garden. Ladybirds are bright on the leaves, and blackbirds are brave with their song. My cat can tap into the rhythms of the earth and feel her catness, her need to catch mice and rest in the sunshine. Grass is more grass. The sun is more sun. This is the time for the earth to sing and for us to feel our heartbeat.
Brilliant.
That's it.
Thank you very much. So just before I hand over to John, I'm going to finish up with these words, because there's a bit, for those of you who don't come from the UK or from England, there's a bit of forest that goes back in our country thousands of years. It's between the River Severn and the River Wye, and it's called the Forest of Dean. And I used to work in the Forest of Dean, and I was walking out one day and I had a bag, and a gamekeeper stopped me. And he said, "Mike, what's in your bag?" And I said, "I have 2 rabbits for my tea tonight." And he said, "You're a liar, Mike Rust. You have 2 pheasants in those bags, because I've just seen you pick them up." Now, a pheasant, for those of you who don't live in our country, is a game bird, and it's brightly coloured, and people make an awful lot of money by rearing them, and people come in with an awful lot more money to shoot them. And what I was doing in those days, if I'd been caught with 2 pheasants in my bag, it was an instantly sackable offence. My employment would be terminated that moment. So I said, this is what we do to the gamekeeper. We will go into the forest office, and I will open up my bag, and I will put the 2 rabbits on the desk. One of us won't have a job as we walk out the door. It'd be me or it'd be you. So what we're going to do? And he looked for a moment and he said, "I keep my beady eye on you, Mike Rust, because I think you've got pheasants in those bags." Anyway, so he went. So on the way home, I stopped at a pub, which is where you drink beer in England. And I got 2 pheasants out of my bag, and I paid for the beer with 2 pheasants. And I told the landlord the story. And he said, "Well, these are pheasants, Mike." And I said, "I know. But what I was going to say, there were 2 rabbits, but they're going to a fancy dress party, so they dressed up as pheasants for the night." Right, so I'm going to hand over to John. Okay, so I'm just going to finish up by saying thank you for everybody who's been here. Rashidad and Jazz. I wrote your name down. Hang on a minute. I'm going to send a chocolate. Have we got an address for a chocolate?
Yeah, I've got an address. I've got an address.
Yeah, you send it to me.
I'll send it to you, and I'll leave the whole business to you, because you're a competent man.
Absolutely, we'll send them concrete. We'll send the chocolate. Okay, right. So I'm going to finish now and hand over to John. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
And thank you, Mike, for, I mean, a round of applause for Mike for keeping us all under control. Fantastic. Well, I just want to, I mean, we'll open up for a chat later, but I need to get this in first. What is coming up? Well, it's an amazing selection of stuff on the World Storytelling Cafe, obviously. Monday, Maria Gillan from Ireland is sharing stories. She calls it harvesting. She's harvested stories from co-creation workshops she's been running. And that's 6 o'clock, all UK times, 6 o'clock on Monday evening. That's tomorrow, isn't it? That's tomorrow. Must remember. Yeah. That's tomorrow. Tuesday, an hour earlier, 5 o'clock, is our Young Tellers. And and if you're under 18, please come and join us and tell a story. I can see someone, she's half on the screen down there, and we will be expecting you. And hopefully this week we will have some of the children from Gaza again, which will be marvelous. Jasnama will be there. We like adults to come along into the live room to support them, because we like to show off what wonderful young tellers are coming up.
Hala is coming.
Yeah, I've had loads of messages about people that are coming this week. And then on just Friday, Simran Nagwani is doing stories for children, 6 o'clock. Then on Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning UK time. So people in Australasia and Asia don't have to get up in the middle of the night to listen to us. We're doing a 10 o'clock in the morning UK time. And I unfortunately can't be there, which is almost sacrilegious, but someone's paying me to tell stories. And that is, you've got to take the money. So that will be hosted by David Heathfield, bless his heart, is staying in with me. Then on Sunday, next Sunday, we've got the festival fundraiser for the festival in Marrakesh in February. Rock the Casbah, that's led by Gary Cordingley. Thank you very much. Right. I leave my brain cells all over the internet. And then we just go along to our young tellers again on Tuesday. Baba C on that following Friday, 2 weeks' time. Then we've got the worldwide story round again, and we got David Heathfield, who will shoot me if I don't mention this, on the 7th of it is the 7th, isn't it, David? I've not got my diary with me, and it's not up on the thing.
Remind me.
Right. Anyway, it's a Monday night. It's a Monday night.
David, John, the other David.
David Thompson.
Oh, David Thompson.
Yeah.
Good, David Evans.
Anyway, it's a couple of Mondays time, and there's yeah. If I said it was the David with the glasses, that wouldn't help, because you're both.
No, it wouldn't. No.
Anyway, the David's leading a very important one. We had one the other Monday, and it was really successful. And it's talking about two worlds in one, and it's exploring arts and accessibility of people with disabilities. So David's leading that, and I must apologize because I'm not next to normally I have my diary next to me, but I'm working on vapor at the moment. So anyway, that's what's coming up. Keep looking at our schedule, everyone. You have been brilliant. Unmute yourselves and have a natter. We can't go to have a coffee or a beer or anything at the moment, but we can have a natter.
What is a natter?
A natter. Oh, sorry.
Is it another natter? I mean, what is a natter?
A natter? No, seriously. I'm being colloquial here. Colloquial.
So educate your American brother.
Yeah, a natter is when you talk to each other.
Okay.
We're nattering away. We're nattering away.
Okay.
Have a bit of a natter.
Have a natter.
Have a natter.
Okay.
I say, dear boy, we're going to have a natter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Sometimes you guys scare me, but okay.
Okay.
I have a question, and it's going to sound silly, but I'm really serious. Okay. So in Britain, are Americans considered Yankees?
No, they're Yanks.
They're Yanks. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not taking that bait.
That's a really interesting one, isn't it? Because it's not quite as straightforward as that. It's not as black and white as that, I don't think, because
See, now you just touched on something about the black and white. Because am I a Yank?
No.
Careful with your answer. I'm not a Yank.
You might be if you were a serviceman down the road in East Anglia 10 or 15 years, no, before 1990 when the bases were there. And it depends whether you were talking directly, but if you were talking amongst yourselves, you must, you know, and it depends how we've been treated by the people on the base. So if we'd been mistreated by the people on the base, it'd be them Yanks on the base.
Now, John,
and
you wouldn't
that'd
be
everyone.
yanking my chain, would you?
So,
I always
See, that
thought,
was a bad- I
I
said-
always
see,
thought
John-
Yankee was a term for. I'm not educate us here, Baba, but I thought Yankee was the Southern America side of stuff.
Oh,
and yeah. See, in America, in the North, to be called a Yank was not a
No.
compliment. However, African Americans, we kind of are delicate, always balancing act, because depending on where you are, but they have other names for us, and it's not usually Yankee. But so I'm just curious as to how we're viewed in Great Britain. And over the course of my growing relationship with Storytelling Cafe, World Storytelling Cafe, I have some questions to ask that may seem commonplace or things that everyone should know, but America is very isolated in many ways. And so I have questions to ask you guys. So to me, the only stupid question is the question you don't ask.
Yeah.
And if you don't ask, then you're being stupid. So if I ask you guys questions, you guys go, that stupid Yank, please. I'm asking because I'm always wanting to learn.
Right.
We'll do it in-
All you've got to remember is that with the military servicemen, particularly that are over here and they're based in the UK or based in Europe, that we say three things about them: we're over here, overpaid, and oversexed.
Okay.
But we did like going on, you know, because if you ran a band, you know, that was work on the bass. So you ran bands onto the bass, groups onto the bass, and then there was, I mean, in my town, in Ipswich, where I was, there was a big Afro-Caribbean community, and they linked up with the African-American community on the bass. So it becomes quite complex. You and I can have a huge discussion about this that won't bore the rest of the world to death.
All right, all right.
Susan, where do you come from, Susan?
You have to unmute, Susan.
Hello?
You're muted, Susan.
You're muted.
Can you
I'm
hear
from
us?
South
Yes, yeah?
Africa, Mike. I'm from South Africa.
Yeah, from
So,
South
Baba,
Africa.
I'm sure you have a lot of questions for me too.
Yes. Actually, I have a godson. Well, I'm godson to someone whose stepfather actually, was from South Africa. But yeah, I do have questions because I hear a lot of stuff about South Africa.
Yes.
So whenever I ask a question, it may sound, like I said, it may sound like something everybody knows, but not everybody knows. All right. And you know, one of my students asked me, one of my students one day turned to me and said, Baba C, you think you know everything, don't you? And I said, no, I don't think I know everything. I know everything. However, there are some things I don't know. And if I didn't know them, I would know.
Wonderful.
Oh, you lost me.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that sounds fair enough.
David Thompson, you got your hand up.
That not matter where we are in the world. We look doing me or get together.
It doesn't matter where we are in the world. It's the
stories
that
make
bring
us
Yes,
together.
I agree.
Yes,
David.
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So we're having a natter.
Well,
We're having a bit of a natter, yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
is natter a verb or a noun?
Two
Both.
natter.
Both.
Do come in.
Both.
We're nattering
Oh,
and we're having a natter.
so if you're having a natter, are you nattering?
Yes.
Yes.
We're
Oh, yeah,
not just
you got it.
nattering, we're nattering away.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to ask where Emma lives. Where in Norfolk does Emma live?
I'm over in
'Cause
Caister.
You're in Caister. I'm in
Yeah.
Norfolk. I'm in Norwich.
Hi, fellow Norfolkian.
Yeah.
See, we have a Norfolk, but it's well, of course, it's not where you are. It's in Virginia, which is just
Virginia, isn't it?
DC is bordered by two states, Virginia and Maryland. So there's a Norfolk in Virginia. I think it used to be, it may be a military base or was a military base. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to ask one other question. You know, in DC, well, I'll make a statement. In Washington, DC, we have a very unique form of pollution. It's called Congress. And they're constantly, need I say more? But yeah.
Well,
you guys are so cool.
It's been wonderful. I know Mike actually at 7:30 likes to disappear down the pub, or no, not necessarily. But there are certain rituals that should be adhered to.
Absolutely. I went to church this morning. We opened up our little church in our village. It's the first time we've had a religious service there since August.
Oh, amazing.
Because of the lockdown. And so we went
Wonderful.
there. And so me and my wife, we went there, or my wife and I, as we should say, Baba properly. After we had the religious service, we stood outside in the graves, outside because of COVID, and had a natter to each other.
Yay.
So if you have a great big group of people, are you having a supernatural situation?
Nothing secret about it, and it's always natural. Okay.
I don't know if a natterjack toad is really good at nattering. I'm not sure.
Okay, well,
thank
sorry,
you guys
David.
for indulging me. It's
David
been very
Thompson,
stressful.
trying to get a word in edgeways.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so you're calling it, are you, John? Or?
No, I just let David Thompson get a last word in edgeways. You okay, David?
I'll write it down.
You're going to write it down. Okay, we'll see if we can find it in the chat.
And while he's writing, I'm just doing this. See, that's my hand being raised, but it's brown and sometimes gets lost in the background. That's why you guys don't always know that I've raised my hand.
Yeah.
Night all. It's been really nice to see everyone
see you,
again.
mate.
Yeah, to go as well.
Really enjoyed
Susan.
it. Everyone.
Hope
See
to
you
see
in
you
2
next-
weeks' time.
2 weeks
in a
time,
couple of
Susan.
weeks,
We'd be
if
very
not
welcome to come,
before.
Okay.
All right, good people.
Saturday, Sue.
David,
right,
you and
man.
I need to talk soon. David Hatfield. Heathfield.
Okay.
Sorry about that. That's a whole nother story.
Okay. Bye.
All right,
Bye.
good people.
Okay, bye-bye.
Peace. See you out.
Sorry, David. We seem to have lost everyone in the thing.
Thanks, Ali.
Well,
We're just all going, David. See you in a fortnight, David, if not.
Susan, David want to ask a question too, but we can do that next time. Keep the questions in your head, David.
Absolutely.
Susan, when you come back. Okay. Thank you,
John,
everyone. And
John, can you email Jasmine May's
yeah,
address
I will
to me?
do. And
Okay, mate.
Ali,
Bye.
thank you very much for
Thank you, John.
carpet out.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All right.
Thank you, Baba.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Take care. Oh, Ali, could you do me a question? I know somebody
Yes.
else in the group plays the djembe. I can't play the
Yeah.
djembe in my current setup. So I want to find someone who played the djembe who might join
Yeah.
me on
Yeah.
Storytelling for Friday to play
Yes.
djembe for me.
Yes, sure you can.
All right, thank you. And Ali, you're wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. When everything
Thank
goes right,
you.
people
Thank you,
don't say
Baba.
anything. But I want you to know we truly appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you.
Salam alaikum.
Thank you so
Take
much,
care.
bro. Thank you so much.